Hey guys, how are we? Well, there's been a lot of people saying, "Where are you? Why haven't you done a video?" Including my wife. So I thought I'd better do a video. So very, very interesting times at the moment. I just want to sort of lay the context for what's happening at the moment. So there's a few different things happening in the world. Uh, One of those is Sam Bankman-Friedman, I think it is. What's happened here is the US government has funded a lot of the goings on in Ukraine. In return, a lot of that money has been deposited into FTX by the Ukrainian government, and that has been filtered back into the Democratic Party and basically helped to progress their progressive liberal agenda. The other thing that I think is of interest is that a lot of the people who invested in FTX and in cryptocurrency exchanges as a whole are very conservative views, conservative voting and opinions and that sort of thing. So it's interesting that their money has actually been siphoned off to progress the Democratic Party's liberal progressive agenda. And, at the end of the day, SBF and FTX were the second biggest financial supporters of the Democratic Party, only second to George Soros. So very interesting occurrences there. So so there's a lot happening at the moment in regards to that. In regards to geopolitical situations, what you're seeing at the moment is that Russia has basically pulled back into its own territory from Ukraine, and the Ukrainians and other NATO members are sort of hailing that as a bit of a success. It's a bit loud here. So they're hailing that as a bit of a success. And I would have a bit of a different opinion to that. I think what the Russians are doing, they're pulling their troops out of Syria at the moment. They're giving them some R&R, some rest and recuperation, after fighting a long sort of arduous battle in the Middle East. And once winter really kicks in, the permafrost, or sort of the ice or the moisture in the ground sort of freezes and hardens up, you're going to see possibly a military offensive that will literally be shock and awe. What we've seen up until this point is that most of Russia's military have actually been reservists, so they're inexperienced fighters, and they were using Soviet-era equipment predominantly. So it's very, very hard to sort of make any sort of judgments as to what's going on there at the moment or where it's going to go. But I think what you'll see in the next couple of weeks, maybe the next month or two, you're going to see a major ground offensive by Russia and an incursion into Ukraine. You're probably going to see a lot of air attacks into Ukraine as well. Basically, the Russians have disabled their power systems, their energy systems, and you're going to see a very difficult, long, drawn-out winter for Ukraine. So, look, that's that aspect of things. The other thing that I sort of wanted to mention is that, someone posted on the Overseas Exiles Facebook group that, something by the Nomad Capitalist, I think it is, and he's sort of, do you stay and fight, or do you just go? My opinion has always been, You know what? If you're in a situation where you don't feel as though your values line up with the values in the country in which you live, then pack up and move somewhere else. There's no use banging your head up against a brick wall trying to change a culture, change a political system, because it's just not going to happen. You're better off going to another environment, another place, another location that more aligns with your values. So if you're in that situation, I strongly suggest that you look at relocating now. Do it sooner rather than later. We are on the cusp of another financial collapse. Absolutely convinced of that. You're seeing the global economy contract. And look, things are going to get really difficult. We're enjoying it here in Thailand. We're pretty much settled now, and got some great friends with me, and really enjoying things. The only thing is my wife is working in Korea at the moment, so I've got to get her over here as soon as I can. But easier said than done sometimes, right? But so the situation in the global scheme of things is you're seeing a contracting global economy, you're seeing an escalation of conflicts around the world, and that is going to only escalate over time. So be very, very mindful of that. If you're thinking of relocating, do it sooner rather than later. I've been saying that for a long while. The other thing that I've said on my previous videos, if you have money in crypto exchanges, get them out of those exchanges and into a cold wallet as soon as possible, because you're seeing a lot of these exchanges under severe financial difficulty. The other thing that I think that is happening behind the scenes is that a lot of these big institutional investors, whales, are actually pulling their money out of these exchanges and collapsing them. They do not have the liquidity to cover their costs. So keep that in mind. I think in my personal opinion, I think what you're seeing is the powers that be wanting to put a nail in the coffin of cryptocurrencies. I don't think that's going to happen. And one of the reasons why I say that is when you look at Bitcoin post the collapse of FTX, it only dropped a couple of thousand US dollars per Bitcoin. That to me says, you know, there's a lot of faith in Bitcoin. It's fungible, divisible, transferable, and the big thing is people believe in it. And so I am very bullish on Bitcoin. The other currencies, I'm not sure. I'm not a cryptocurrency specialist. You know, we certainly have had some successes and some losses in that area, but just keep that in mind. But just wanted to sort of say to you, hey, look, if you're in a situation where you're not happy where you're at, and say, for example, you're in Melbourne in Australia and you've just seen Daniel Andrews re-elected, and I seriously question the results, the legitimacy of those results after what's happened over the previous couple of years. If you're in that situation, you go, you know, I can't do this anymore, then get out now. And what we're seeing at the moment is just a continuation of further and further progressive values. And, you know, you look at ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, and what you're seeing is a whole heap of articles that are very much anti-family, anti-church, and anti-conservative views, and you know, that doesn't line up with me, and I certainly don't think that you know, taxpayer dollars should be going around funding those things. You know, SBS and the Australian Broadcasting Corporation used to always be about just giving people the facts without their opinions and bias, and what we're seeing at the moment is a whole heap of stories that are being covered that are literally just in support and pushing the progressive liberal narrative. So if that doesn't line up with you, then you need to just pack up stumps. You need to pack up, sell up, and relocate to a location that is going to better suit you. So at the situation for me at the moment, I see a good opportunity here in Thailand. Thailand is not a long-term situation at this point in time. It's purely just a stopgap to see when everything collapses and the dust settles, what's going to best suit. And I have spoken with a few people that are over here that want to set up communities purely focused for conservative people with conservative Christian values, a focus on the family, and a focus on doing business and living very successful, quiet, prosperous lives. So it's interesting. There's a lot of people over here, even in the building that we live in, that they all have very, very common views. I think on a daily basis here in Thailand, there's about 57,000 people a day migrating to Thailand, and very, very interesting. If you're over 50, then you could get a retirement visa. If you're under 50, probably your best option is going to be getting an educational visa. That'll cost you around anywhere from 33,000 baht, about $1,200, to about 55,000 baht, depending on where you go. So yeah, look, it's just an interesting time. I'll try and keep you up to date with my opinions and insights and that sort of stuff. It is very hard. I'm extremely busy. But even my wife's sort of complaining I haven't done any videos. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave that there. Love you and leave you. And go to overseasexile.com, and you can go to the Overseas Exiles Facebook group and sign up. We're just in the process of setting up our own social media platform at the moment on our own servers. Free to say whatever you want, as long as it's respectful to other people, and you're not spamming it with your own stuff. But yeah, just respect the platform, and we'll hopefully have that up in the next week or two. So we're just setting the final touches to it at the moment. Anyway, guys, going to leave that there, and I will chat with you later.